Today we're going to go over 3 training aids that I use on a daily basis. I'm not only going to show you the best way to use them, but also the way not to use them. A lot of times students are buying training aids and they're using them incorrectly, even if they're using them in the way that they're told to use them. So sometimes it might seem like it makes sense the way you're using it, but the reality is it's probably not really helping your game. So we're going to start with this impact bag. This very famous, been around forever. Gary Wyron, I believe, might be the first one to kind of take it to market. You know, it's just a plastic bag you stuff with something inside. I have a bunch of towels in here that I wrap in a trash bag. And I put it in a trash bag because sometimes moisture can get in here, and at least the trash bag, the towels won't get wet. The trash bag might get a little wet, but it's not going to get moldy. So impact bag, kind of a classic. When you use the impact bag, this one is great. It has a little hook on the back of it. So what I like to do is set the bag down like it's the golf ball. Using this hook, I'll take an old golf shaft where I chopped off the head of it. I'm going to drive this into the ground. All right. And so that's going to keep the bag from moving. Now, traditionally, again, it's called a smash bag or an impact bag, and the thought is to go up to the top and slam into this bag as hard as you can. But the reality of that is you're working too hard down at impact. You really shouldn't feel like as you come into this impact bag that you're trying to really hit it really, really hard. By the time you get to impact, you should really feel like you're just holding on to the club and you're letting the momentum of the club do the work for you. So when you use an impact bag, if you just go to the top, you really just want to practice what this feels like. Not how much force you're driving into the bag, but just feeling what impact should feel like. Okay? But even that, I think, is very, very limited. So most golfers struggle with an out-to-in path. So if they were to set up parallel to the target line, replace the golf ball with this impact bag, when they go to the top and they swing down and hit it, the bag would want to spin to the left of the stick. And when they're spinning it to the left of the stick, if you were to look at impact, the face is going to be open. It's like they're leading with the hosel. The heel of the club is going into the bag. Your goal when you're swinging this impact bag, again, is not to hit it really hard, but when you hit it, you want to try to get it to spin to the right of the stick. So if I go up to the top, I go up here, and I come down and I get this to spin to the right, then I know I'll be coming from the inside. I'll have an in to out club path. And you want to make sure that when you're hitting it, you're not leading with the heel again, right? Because an in to out club path with an open club face is no bueno. The ball is just going to go right, start right and go further right. So if you have an in to out path, you want to feel like you're hitting it more with the toe of the club as you spin it to the right. That's going to help square up the club face. And again, you know now you're swinging from an in to out path and you're leading with the toe so the face is closed. So I'll demonstrate again what the kind of the wrong way. If you go to the top here, you hear the top, and you feel like you're going to come out, hit the bag, lead with the heel, spin the bag to the left. You can see from the down the line view how steep this club shaft is coming into the ball. Whereas if I do it the other way, where I set up, go to the top, feel like I'm coming more from the inside, you feel like now I have to really get this club shallow. So I come in, swinging out, and I'm letting the toe feel like it's leading into the bag. Now, obviously, I wouldn't want the toe like this when I'm hitting it. That's a ball that's going to go left, start left, and go further left, right? So we don't want that. So again, you can feel and train how you feel this club releasing into the bag, leading with the toe, and just pull the club up and see if that toe is pointed pretty much straight up in the air. It'll feel like it's leading, but then when I pull it up, it's pretty much straight up. We don't want this, obviously, right? We obviously don't want this coming into the ball. So that's the feeling, right? And now as you get to this, you're going to feel like you're spinning the bag to the right with the toe. If you were to come over here to the side and just pretend that you're just spinning the bag to the right, with the toe of the club, you'll start to see nice high draws. When I'm doing that, there's not a rush to hit the bag really hard with my body or my pivot into the bag. I'm getting it to the top and I'm being patient as I'm feeling my arms coming down and I'm driving my left hip back as I let the club swing out and let the momentum of the club take over and let the momentum of the club swing through and release into the bag. I'm going to let the momentum of the club swing and release down into the golf ball. Another training aid that I've just started using a lot recently, it's very popular on the internet, is, I don't know what you call it, it just basically says it's a strength trainer, but it's really more of like a pedal, a slide pedal. And I thought I'd keep this in the box, just want to make a couple of things of like how not to use it, is basically how they tell you to use it. So the first thing is if you look at how they have the pedal here on the ground, they're actually trying to pull your foot backwards, right? And so that's what it looks like the long drive guys are doing. When like you look at a long drive guy, they're like, looks like they're pushing their foot and they're driving it backwards. And so whoever made this thought that, well, that's how they must be pushing into the ground. But the reality is if you look at the long drive guys, or any golfer really, that you're pushing towards the ball. You're pushing into the ground towards the golf ball. And because your foot has friction, as you push into the ground, your hip drives backwards, right? It's because the foot's not moving, but I'm driving towards the camera, but my hip is moving away from the camera, okay? If my foot was to slip, my hip wouldn't move and my foot would go forward, right? But because my foot's not moving, my hip's going backwards. So how they describe you how to use this pedal is actually the opposite way, okay? So you need to use it the other way. The other thing it says it's going to increase your swing speed by 80%. I don't think that's probably proven claim, right? I don't think anybody's swinging it, 60 miles an hour, all of a sudden now swinging 100 miles an hour, roughly, right? So I don't know if I would go with that either, but I think it's a great aid. So we're going to pull it out of the box here and again, kind of demonstrate here that you can see that it slides back and forth, right? So again, they want you to put your foot here and push it backwards. I want you to flip it this way, right? And I want you to put your foot in the back and push the pedal forward. And when it hits that end, you should feel you feel your hip go backwards, okay? Now, it's kind of hard to hit golf balls doing this because this raises your left leg up about an inch and a half. So but it's really good to give you when you're doing practice swings. I've got my slide pedal set up here, and I put the set up with it with my feet parallel to the target line. And then as I get set up, I'm just going to take my left foot and drop it back a little bit. And as I go to the top of my backswing, I'm going to pause. And now coming down, I'm going to drive my foot forward as I try to pushing my hip back and really slam it quickly into the front of the pedal as you push it back, and then just hit more of like a punch shot. Really don't try to follow through. When you set the pedal up, it's important to have it flared out roughly about 15 degrees or so, just like your left foot. So when I set up here, I set up with my feet parallel to the target line and the pedal forward, right? And this is where we want to put the pedal back as we start down. Then as I go up to the top, I'm going to pull the pedal back and go to the top of my backswing. Pause for a second, and again, remember this is a drill. So you pause for a second, and as you start down, you'd feel yourself push the pedal forward, drive that pedal toward the toes as you drive the hip away. And when you hit that front part, you should really feel that left hip driving backwards, okay? So you're here, pull it up to the top there, and hit more of a punch shot coming through. The key is really feeling that left leg activating as you drive that left foot forward, push that left hip back. Okay? You want to slam that pedal as hard into the front of the holder as you can get it. Okay? We don't want any type of motion this way. And also, if the pedal is wanting to move backwards, coming through, that's not ideal either. We want to really feel like we're driving the pedal and pushing the hip back. Really, we're focusing on the force we're creating with the left leg on the downswing. Right? That's why we just want to stop right here. Now, in your normal swing, if you push like this, and as you come through the shot, you're feeling your left foot move a little bit, toes flare out. left foot drives back a little, that's completely fine. I actually like that. But we're working more of like how you push into the ground on the downswing, and we want to just, again, from the top, right away, drive this forward and drive the hip back, pushing very, very hard. Again, you have basically 0.15 seconds to put force into the club on the downswing. The rest, it's kind of the momentum is taken over. So you're not waiting to put force down by the ball, right? You're putting the force into transition, putting force into the club very, very early, so that you don't want to try to wait. You don't want to try to feel like you're bringing the club down and bringing your foot forward. You want to do that very aggressively early as soon as you start down. This is a great drill, great piece of equipment to help you learn to do that. Another training aid that I use every day is a swing guide. And this has been around forever. It's been repackaged by some different people even. But it's a great tool to help you learn how to hinge your wrists. And the thing that I think that people do wrong is that everybody wants to put it on in what would they consider a neutral position. So how the swing guide is recommended to be used is the toe of the club straight up, let's say at 12 o'clock, and the bottom groove then would be pointed pretty obviously straight up at 12 o'clock. And then they suggest that you put this matching the bottom groove on the club, so they're both straight up and down, and this is considered a neutral position. But I would tell you that there really is no neutral. When you think about how you set up versus impact, generally the hands are a little bit more in front, hands are a little bit higher. Some people have weaker grips, some people have stronger grips. And so how you hinge your wrists are going to determine like where really this swing guide ought to be. We don't just hinge our wrists up this way either. So there's also this is called radial, all right, and this is called ulnar. There's also a lead wrist here goes into what's called flexion, trail wrist goes into extension, and vice versa. So there's those movement patterns as well, and everybody does that a little bit differently. So how you put this on the club really should be determined more of how you grip the club, how you take the club up to the top, and then basically then how you would deliver the club at impact. Really is all that matters. So what I recommend to people to do, and what I always usually start with, is to, when you take the club like this, you twist this so that this part of the aid, the bottom part of the hinge here, matches more of the top edge of the club. So you can see when I look at the top edge of the club, the toe, the leading edge is more like at 12 o'clock, but the top edge is over here at an angle getting closer to 1 o'clock. So I put this over here 1 o'clock, and what that does is helps encourage a little bit of extension in the trail wrist. How much extension you need in that trail wrist, again, is grip dependent and what type of shot you're trying to produce. But by starting with the swing guide more here, I can combine both of the upward motion, or the vertical motion of hinging, that radial motion, and I can get the trail wrist into that extension position that we're looking for as well. So I think that's really important. You've seen some guides, some training aids that have two of them, like one that goes on the left and one goes on the right. Again, I don't think that's one shot or one size fits all. I just don't think that that's a very good training aid. I think that it has to have some flexibility to be able to use it, customize it for you a little bit, and that's why I like this one, to use it this way. Again, it just takes a little bit of work to figure out where this ought to go. So how you can tell where it ought to go really would be when you go to the top of the backswing, what do you want the club face to look like? Right? So the idea at the top of the backswing, a lot of times is people want the leading edge to match with the lead forearm. That's kind of like your stock, kind of, again, neutral. But again, we're not always trying to hit the ball straight. So you might want it a little bit more towards 1 o'clock or even like a little bit more 1:30, so that when you hinge your wrists up, the club face is a little more closed to your left arm. If you're trying to hit more of maybe a draw ball flight, or the stronger grip helps you move your body and move your pivot a little bit more through the ball, right? Take a little bit of the wrist to hand action out through impact, get the body to rotate more. A little stronger face at the top is conducive to that type of motion. So you really want to just find out where it goes for you, again, using the top edge of, let's say, your 7-iron, and experiment with that. Where it goes in relationship to the club face is important, but also where it goes up and down the shaft is important too. The idea that you want to try to get this lead forearm and the shaft perfectly up perpendicular to each other at this 90-degree angle, that might not be best for you. The more the lead wrist goes into this radial motion, the more the club face is going to open. So depending on what your swing style is, you might want this pulled down the shaft farther to eliminate some of that radial. So if I bring this really close to my hands and I set it onto my left arm like this, you see there, it's probably going to be even a little pulled in a little closer, right? That's going to eliminate the radial motion. If I have it too far down the shaft, if I have it all the way here down towards the end of the grip, then that's going to encourage a lot of radial motion. And if I get too much radial motion, again, you can see the difference in here. There's the club face. And if I have limited radial motion at the top, you can see there's the position of the face. And as I start to increase this radial motion, you see the club face is now starting to open and open and open, right? So too much of this could be a problem. So you're putting the swing guide too far down towards the bottom, and now this is creating too much radial, getting the face to the right, and you're trying to use it to help fix your slice. But the reality is it's encouraging you to open the face and make you slice it more. So again, you got to experiment not only with the angle here of how it moves from, let's say, 90 degrees to roughly 40 degrees, or that would be 60 degrees, all right? And then you got to also, like, how far up and down the shaft you want it. Then once you get it where you need to go, what I like to do is just take a Sharpie marker and just take a little line here, like where there's a little groove in here you might be able to see, and you can draw a little Sharpie marker there on your 7-iron. And then now you know that you can put it there so you have it consistently in the same spot, and you can really groove up where you want to hinge your wrists as you go to the top of the backswing. Again, it's not one size fits all. If everybody that played golf put it right here, it's going to produce different results for everybody. So learn where it should go for you, and you become a much more consistent and solid ball striker. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you liked it, please click the thumbs up, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you want more information about me, or you want some online instruction, I have a Skillist profile, which you can find the details below. So hopefully, I'll see you on some videos and help you play this great game better.